In the past, we've tried to find the equation of a line where we know a few things about the line. Sometimes we know the slope, sometimes we know 2 points, sometimes we know the intercepts. In this video, we'll try finding the equation of a line with very little information given. Here's an example. Point A comma B, this is a given point. This is the midpoint of a line segment between axes. Find the equation of the line. So let's understand this. We're given a point is a midpoint of a line segment between axes. So breaking this down, this point is a midpoint of a line segment. And where is this line segment? This line segment is lying between the axes. So if we visualize this, this is what we have. We have this point A comma B right over here. This point is the midpoint of this line segment between these two axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. Now we need to find the equation of this line. So this equation is something that we have to figure out. Now pause the video, try solving this on your own. Okay, so let's list down the forms that we know. We know that we can find the equation in slope point form, slope intercept form, 2-point form, and intercept form. Which of these can we use? Well, we don't know the slope, so the first two we can strike them out. Slope point form and slope intercept form will not work. What about this one, 2-point form? Do we know 2 points on this line? Well, we know 1 point, but we don't know any other point. So this will also not work. What about intercepts? Do we know the intercepts of this line? Well, it's not given in the problem, so right now we don't know the intercepts. So what do? These forms are not working for us. Well, let's use what's given in the question. What have we used so far? We've used that this point lies on this line. But there's more information. This point not only lies on this line, it's not any random point, it's the midpoint of the line segment between axes. So this point is somehow related to this axis, x-axis and the y-axis. How can we use this to figure out the equation of this line? Well, let's assume that this point cuts these axes at these points, h comma 0 and 0 comma k. Let's assume these two new variables, h comma 0 because the y coordinate of this point will be 0 and 0 comma k because the x coordinate of this point will be 0. So these 2 points will be h comma 0 and 0 comma k. Now let's try to relate these 3 points. We know this, we have to figure out these points. If we somehow manage to figure out these points, we can either use the 2-point form or the intercept form, because the intercept of this line will be h, x-intercept will be h, and y-intercept will be k. So let's try to figure out the values of h and k in the form of a and b. Let's try to figure out the unknowns in the form of the knowns a and b. So how do we do that? We can use the midpoint formula. A comma b is the midpoint, which means if we want to figure out the coordinates of a, we can take the average of h and 0, the x coordinates. So a is h plus 0 by 2. Similarly, b is 0 plus k by 2, the average of the y coordinates. By doing this, by writing things like this, we can relate h with a and k with b. So this gives us h is equal to 2a and k is equal to 2b. Now things are interesting. Now we know the values of h and k in the form of things that we know that are given in the question. So if h is 2a, this means this line's x-intercept is 2a. And if k is 2b, this means this line's y-intercept is 2b. So we knew the point. We used the fact that this point is the midpoint of this line segment to figure out the intercepts. So if we know the point, now we know the intercepts. And once we know the intercepts, we can find the equation of the line. So let's do that. The equation of the line in intercept form, this will be x upon x-intercept plus y upon y-intercept equal to 1. Here x-intercept is 2a and y-intercept is 2b, which gives us x by 2a plus y by 2b equals to 1. A little rearranging, we can take this 2 on the other side. X by a plus y by b equals to 2. This looks very similar to the intercept form, where a and b are the intercepts. Here a and b are not the intercepts, They're the coordinates of the midpoint of this line segment that's between these axes. So x by a plus y by b equals to 2. That's the equation of this line. Let's try one more. Point a comma b divides a line segment between the axes in the ratio 1:2. Find the equation of the line. So pause the video, try this on your own. Okay, let's visualize. We have x-axis, we have y-axis, and we have this given point a comma b right over here. This point lies on this line, which we need to figure out. But what we also know is that this point divides the line segment between axes. So this is the line segment between axes, and it divides it in the ratio 1:2. Now we're not given the ratio 1:2 is from the x-axis to the y-axis, or it's from the y-axis to the x-axis. In this problem, I'll assume that the ratio is 1:2 moving from x-axis to the y-axis. So this point is a comma b and the ratio is 1:2. Now we have put down the points that we know. Pause the video, try this on your own. Okay, it's somehow very similar to the problem that we have just solved. In the previous one, we knew that this point was a midpoint of this line segment. And we used the midpoint formula to figure out these coordinates, which we used to figure out the intercepts, which we used to figure out the equation. Most of it remains the same. The first part, where this was the midpoint, no longer works for us. But we know the ratio in which this point divides this line segment, so we can use a different formula. We can use the section formula here. So let's do that. If this point is h comma 0 and this point is 0 comma k, again, assuming the coordinates, because here the y coordinate is 0 and here the x coordinate is 0. So assuming these are the coordinates and this line segment is divided by this point in the ratio 1:2, this is what we'll get. A comma b divides the line segment in the ratio 1:2 using the section formula. And let's write the section formula as well. The section formula gives us the x coordinate and the y coordinate. So the x coordinate of this point is given as mx2 plus nx1 by m plus n. So m and n are from the ratio. If this point divides this line segment in the ratio m:n, this is what we get as the x coordinate. The numerator is mx2. x2 will be the point that we reach and x1 will be the point where we start from. So here x1 will be h and x2 will be 0. And here m will be 1 and n will be 2. We have to be careful with these things. So the x coordinate will be 1, which is your m, 1 times x2, which is your 0. So 1 times 0 plus 2 times h divided by m plus n, which is 1 plus 2. And this is given as a in the problem. The x coordinate is actually a. So we'll use this here. Similarly, we can write what b is. B, the y coordinate, that's equal to my2 plus ny1 by m plus n. The same thing but for the y coordinates. So 1 into k plus 2 into 0 divided by 1 plus 2. Now we can simplify. A is equal to 0 plus 2h by 3 or 2h by 3 and b is equal to k by 3. So b is k by 3. Now we need to write h and k in terms of a and b. So h is 3, a by 2, we move things to the other side, and k is equal to 3b. So now we know the intercepts as well. We knew the point. Using the ratio, using the section formula, we now know the intercepts. So h is 3a by 2, which means the x-intercept is 3a by 2, and k is 3b, which means the y-intercept is 3b. And now we know the intercepts in the form of a and b. Let's use the intercept form to find the equation. So x by x-intercept plus y by y-intercept will be equal to 1. Here x-intercept is 3a by 2, y-intercept is 3b. And we can move 3 to the other side and here 2 can come up. This becomes 2x by 3a plus y by 3b equals to 1. Now taking the LCM, we have 3ab in the denominator. And in the numerator we have 2x into b, which means 2bx plus y into a. So this becomes ay. Now moving 3ab to the other side, we have 2bx plus ay equals to 3ab. This is the equation of the line where point a comma b divides the line segment between axes in the ratio 1:2.